I had a kindergarten student walk straight up to me, motorboat my breasts, then got on the school bus. Not a word was spoken. Welcome viewers. In today's episode, r/AskReddit. Attractive teachers of Reddit, did you know which students had a crush on you, and what is the strangest or most inappropriate thing you overheard said about you? When I was just starting had one of the girls, I was only 4 years older, ask me to feel her abs as she pulled up her shirt. Didn't know what to do, so I just walked out of the room. Not exactly textbook procedure on how to handle it, but my brain short-circuited for a second. Removing yourself from the situation is probably the best cause of action. I was teaching HS creative writing, 11th and 12th graders, and had a lesson where I showed them Dark Side of the Rainbow, Wizard of Oz, Dark Side of the Moon Sink. One class had split lunch, where they're in class for 30 minutes, go to lunch, then come back and finish class. This girl comes in just after the class had gone to lunch and said, "Oh no. Am I too late?" I told her yeah, just go to lunch, and she asked if we'd be doing it after lunch too. I explained that it was too difficult to sync it back up after pausing, so no. It was just the two of us in the room and the door closes automatically. I had gotten up so I could see her to the door, because I was also very cognizant of not being alone in a classroom with a female behind a closed door. She says, "I had a doctor's appointment and tried so hard to get here in time because I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. Look," and at this point reaches down inside the waistband of her track pants and pulls the front of her underwear up over the waistband. I even wore my Pink Floyd underwear today. I literally went, "What are you doing? Don't show me your underwear." And she very casually, and a bit surprised, said, "What? It's just underwear. It's not like I pulled my pants down." I don't remember exactly what I said next, but it was something inappropriate yada yada. Quote. She said, "Yeah, I guess I see your point. Sorry. But I'm still really disappointed I missed it." Then went to lunch. At the time I was mid-30s, and I'm only average looking. And she was reasonably attractive. But we had never had any interactions that weren't typical, appropriate teacher-student interactions. I have no reason to believe she was intending anything other than having less than average modesty and wanting to prove her fandom. But, yeah. Most terrifying moment of my 21 years teaching, so far. Teacher here. The first year teaching I was 22 and the students were 18. I was like, this is going to be weird. I searched my name on Twitter and this one girl had me as her man crush Monday several times. Find out she used to whisper, "his fine ass," and finally gave me her number on the last day of school. Had another student say I had a tight butt. I think I've lost my sex appeal because my students now think I'm 47 when I'm really 30. A student stole me a bottle of vodka and left it on my desk with a love heart carved around it. Had an art teacher pretend he's gay in his previous school because a lot of the female students were crushing on him hard. He did realize that he also had male admirers and him declaring he's gay just increased his admirers. Girls love him, I'm gay, sorry girls. Guys love him, damn it. I mean, I'm asexual. I used to have a chili pepper on ratemyprofessor.com, that's how I knew. They have since taken it down on the site. I kinda wish it were still there. A girl said to her friends, "Mr. Teacher has a donk." It was kinda quiet, but I heard it. I turned around and gave her a WTF look. She got super embarrassed. I felt weird. I'm not attractive, but I did find out a third grader had a crush on me because she straight up told me. I had suspected it because she would give me a hug basically every time she saw me and say things like, "Mr. Laney Flit is so funny, cool, and handsome." She did go through a phase where she randomly hated me and refused to talk to me most of the time. But then after a couple weeks of that she randomly gave me a hug one morning and said, "I like you again." That kid was a little boy crazy. Not a teacher but the weird girl at school said she fell in love with Mr. Witz his name and wanted to cut off his penis and wear it as a necklace. I didn't know whether she wanted to fuck him or kill him. Also it was a Catholic school. Shit was weird anyway. A female teacher of mine was told by a student, during an exam, to sit down, because if he sees her body his blood is rushing into other directions, instead of his head. I know of 2 students who had crushes on me when I did my student teaching. Just avoid the situations. Whenever we talked, I made sure to place myself in clear view of the door, and our individual conversations were always with a desk between us. I was a big on making sure every student had a proper handshake and eye contact as a life skill. So that kept hugging out of my classroom. English teacher here. Girls on puberty just seem to want to have a crush on any guy that's somewhat close to them and unreachable for an actual relationship, and a teacher fits it perfectly. Teenager girls keep trying to approach physically and use any excuse to hug me, and if I don't set clear limits they try to touch me. Nothing explicit or really bizarre ever happened to me, but it really feels weird sometimes. I had a student with a crush on me. I was in my late 20s teaching seniors in high school. He constantly emailed me with questions about college applications and stuff. But sometimes his friends would hack his account and send me emails from his account saying how much he loved me. I responded and said I cared about him, but only as a student. After he graduated high school, he would email me when he was drunk saying he loved me, then he would follow up the next morning saying he never meant to send that. I didn't really respond to those. When he graduated college, he did try to ask me out for reals, and I turned him down again politely. There is a nonverbal, very large, severely autistic young man at my school who goes into a rage and attacks other teachers and students and flips tables and desks if I am not where I am supposed to be when he wants me to be. I think maybe I remind him of someone else. I am a middle-aged woman with kids older than he is. He badly injured a teacher last week when I had a meeting and was not at lunch. He stares at me from across the cafeteria or gym and looks away smiling every time I look over. I am not his teacher, and he doesn't react this way to anyone else at the school. When I was around 25 I used to substitute, and it was mainly at a pretty affluent high school. There were girls who would come by my room between classes just to hang around and talk. Then there was the girl who wanted me to read her poetry. The funniest was the drama class one subbed for, where they didn't even try to be subtle. It was a very loosey-goosey class anyway, in the school's theater. There were 3 girls who crowded around me the whole class and were asking for my phone number and my address because they wanted to come hang out. I told them we couldn't. One day I was at the mall with a buddy of mine, and a group of high school girls saw me and came running up to me, kinda hanging on and around me and talking. My friend shot me a look. I mouthed a silent, "I swear I haven't touched them." I met a guy around that time, he was kind of a jerk, who was bragging about secretly dating a high school girl from that school. He was mid to late 20s. When he found out I subbed there, he said, "Oh, you're the substitute with the goatee they're always talking about. You're kind of a legend with those girls, you should hook up with some." I soon decided to stop substituting. When I was on placement I was told to stay away and keep my distance from a student because he was caught masturbating in the previous week. I laughed a lot considering the kid was in year 6. My daughter's school has a teacher named Mrs. Georges. I accidentally referred to her as Mrs. Gorgeous. My wife hasn't let me live it down. In my defense, she is pretty gorgeous, students like to tell on each other. It usually goes like this, "Mister. All of the girls were talking about you in the locker room." "Nope. Don't wanna hear it. So and so said you're hot and so said." And then I keep saying nope as I walk away. I had a student hand me a note from a secret admirer in her own handwriting. And there's been things written about me in desks. Mostly about my eyes and voice. Now kids just say, "You're looking like a snack." I'm not particularly attractive, but I am a young female teacher, and my students are teenagers. I have had students make really inappropriate comments before. 2 of my students got in trouble in another class because another teacher heard them having a discussion about my boobs. Hearing that grossed me out and made me want to dress even more modestly than I already do. Male teacher here. I've had a number of students who I've found out had crushes on me. They're usually the ones who find any reason possible to be around you, but on top of that I've had some more obvious signs. One girl ran into class and jumped into my lap while I sat behind my desk and nestled down a bit. I'm not allowed to touch students, so I had to get 2 other students to remove her. Another girl would make the ahagayo face at me every day for about a week and asked if I like it. I had no idea what it meant at the time, so I asked and she made a masturbation gesture with her hand. Another girl wore a ring around school and told people she snack were married. Those were the worst, but there are usually a handful of them every year. I make it a point to look unkept now as it's super dangerous getting into these situations. I also try to have the students moved to another class if possible. Most people think I should be flattered by it, but all I can think about is losing my job and being labeled a child pervert. I had a kindergarten student walk straight up to me, motorboat my breasts, then got on the school bus. Not a word was spoken. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.